And welcome back, everyone. Set number 2 here for the FX Open Invitational Series, Group D. This is the first group for today. Of course, we are going to go into groups E and F as well today as well. We're going to be the opening weekend, 3 groups today. It is going to be SlayerSYugihoh up against StarTalesKingKong for our second set today. Daybreak is going to be game number 1. Let's get into it. We have, of course, SlayerSYugihoh down here at the bottom left as our red Zerg. And we have StarTalesKingKong up here at the top right as our blue Zerg. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh!, as we were discussing just in between the break there, Lurian has not had a good run in GSL recently. Always gets pretty much the groups of death. Very unfortunate there. And on the other hand, King Kong hasn't really had his breakout performance yet. Does play quite a bit on the Southeast Asia server every now and then. And a very strong practice partner to a lot of different teams as well as StarTale. As a lot of the GSL teams actually intermingle with practice a lot of the time. And in situations where you have team versus team, you'll often see like sidelines being drawn of who will practice with who in the background. But let's see how this happens. It is of course going to be a ZVZ. We do see Gas first opening from King Kong, unless it's no, it's definitely not an extractor trick. I was just had to double check there. But it's going to be interesting. Let's see what these guys go for.
Yeah, ZVZ, of course. These two players are a lot less known, I would say, in general, than the guys in our first series. I mean, Jakchi and Bung Bung, pretty much everyone has heard about those. And King Kong and Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit lower profile. Do you think because they're lower profile, will they also have lower chances of advancing from this group?
Absolutely not. The thing about a lot of players in Korea is they have this breakout performance within the team. So then they're good enough to perform in the booth, and then they have to get put in the booth and lose a few games until they get used to playing in the booth, because it's a different monster entirely. So being that this is an online tournament, they will not have any of those issues. Like, you see a lot of players that just absolutely crush things, like Taja was crushing the ESL weeklies long before he made his breakout really in GSL, and it's happened a lot with people like Tia from FXO. He was crushing through the EWM weeklies online long before he made his breakout performance in GSTL at the same time. So you cannot count out these players, because a lot of the time in Korean teams, especially like just as a spoiler from FXO's internal rankings, the people who are at the top of the list are never the people you think they are. As an example, FXO's top 3 rankings for last month were Tia, Whale, and then Gumio. And that is not something you ever expect to have happen, but it's just about the amount of information you have and how players actually react to their stress, stuff like that. So being an online tournament, we'll have none of that, so actually we get to see these players play at their pretty much best. So it'll be very good to see.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see. Also interesting to see how this ZVZ is going to unfold. So far, the openers have been, pretty straightforward. Neither player really doing something super crazy yet. Both expanding. We see the first Baneling Nest coming out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Here from our red Zerg in the bottom left. He's going to be grabbing his Baneling Nest at first. No gas mining happening for StarTalesKingKong, so his Baneling Nest is going to be a lot later, and he will be relying on some queens and some spine crawlers, I hope, and I expect, to defend against this Baneling aggression.
Well, he does have speed a lot quicker, so now he's going to be able to come out in the middle of the map and actually take that map control. Yu-Gi-Oh! Did get a good scout of the main base here for King Kong, though. And he did notice the hatchery timing, so he's also got his hatchery up earlier, so he's going to have speed a little bit later, but that's okay. The problem with this is, whoa, he needs to back off. He's going to get one drone, and then another queen comes out. The fact that there's 3 queens, a lot of people, they always talk about ZVT for the queen range, but queen range actually really helps defensive players against Link Baneling as well in this matchup that I think needs to get a little bit more recognition from a lot of spectators. But oh, here we go, King Kong getting a good scout this time. He's going to see that Baneling. Well, he did see that Baneling, yes, didn't he? Yes, he did.
Yep. You definitely got to see that. Those links were almost able to pick up the drone as well, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Managing to keep that drone alive with like 2 or 1 HP left. The Baneling that's now coming up for StarTalesKingKong as well in the main base, and he is going to be building that 1 spine crawler to help him defend against the earlier Banelings of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think he should be fine here. The queen is on the ramp. The second queen is going to be nearing here, but those
is he going to get it?
Good damage.
Yeah, he's going to get that spine crawler. That is huge. Forces the cancel there. There's no Banelings yet, remember. There's 2 being more for right now, and if Yu-Gi-Oh! Wants to make something of this, he can. There's 4 Banelings just waddling across the map, And here we go. There's banelings have not been made yet. There's 2 queens at the front. Oh, actually targeting down the banelings is nicely. He does get a good hit with those off. But oh, the 2 queens are going to die. They need to get out of the way really quickly, and they do die to the final baneling hit, and that is huge for Yu-Gi-Oh! There's now no queens at all on the field for King Kong, and when this happens in ZVZ, you pretty much just get overwhelmed by Zerglings. And look at this, more Zerglings coming into the natural now for Yu-Gi-Oh! King Kong in a lot of trouble. I'm surprised he's not actually targeting down the Spine Crawler before it comes up, but he is going to go for those drones yet again. And there's more Zerglings coming out. He needs to try and get rid of that Spine Crawler. But it looks like he's not going to have a chance. He's got another... Oh, he actually went for drones rather than Zerglings to finish things off.
Yeah, he's been droning behind this. I quite like this decision. I mean, he was able to snipe queens, and he will be able to enjoy himself a drone lead right now. And he's going to be falling back to his natural. He does have 3 queens, something to keep in mind that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has got going for himself. So he will probably be able to defend against these lings.
But he does not have the ling count. He needs to be very careful here. He's got one baneling being morphed, the second one. Where's the second one being morphed? There it is. Okay. He does... There needs to be careful. There's a lot of banelings coming through here for King Kong. So if King Kong can even things out here, the Spine Crawler is not done yet, remember. If he gets a good hit off, that will be it. But here we go. Oh, that was really close. And here we go. We're going to have them coming up. And actually, baneling hits on nice hits by Yu-Gi-Oh! Completely taking those banelings out of the equation, forcing King Kong to go home. But during all of this, King Kong has actually been able to catch up in drones. He hasn't reproduced those Zerglings from before. He went across, forced more Zerglings from Yu-Gi-Oh! To keep up with that drone count. It's 38 to 37 right now, 3 queens to 2, and it's actually evened things up quite a bit.
Yeah, this game is quite even right now. It's such a typical ZVZ as well. You know, one player applying the pressure, cutting a few drones to make lings and banelings earlier. The other guy defends and then makes a few lings and banelings and goes attack, drones behind it. That's really the tale of ZVZ nowadays, you know, droning behind it, droning behind it. Oh, these 3 banelings are... Well, that was a little bit weird by King Kong, running 1 baneling into 3 banelings. Not a very cost-effective exchange here. The Spine Crawler is still left alive, and I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be able to do too much here. 1 baneling is wobbling forward. 2 Zerglings are going to try to assassinate that 1 baneling. He's not going to get it, though. A 3rd base is coming up for Yu-Gi-Oh! Behind this.
Yeah, it really comes down to, like, if you throw that 1 baneling into, like, a clump of banelings, you're trying to play for the fact that you'll be able to take them down with single Zerglings and less hits later on. Like, as we're seeing that King Kong's trying to do now, but it's a very risky thing to do. Oh, there we go. But now there's 2 banelings just sitting here doing nothing. And he needs to run home.
These engagements are always so awkward, you know. It's like, is it good for this player, good for that player? Usually, when you go into a typical StarCraft 2 battle, you can always call advantages and, you know, say like, okay, they have to force field here and stim there and split their marines this way. But in ZVZ, it's so chaotic with those banelings being targeted down by Zerglings, and you don't want to clump them up too much as well. It's basically all down to micro in those battles, as we see that the 3rd base is going to be scouted here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Sees that 3rd base going up for King Kong, and King Kong, man, he's going to be very aggressive towards this 3rd of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, remember, Yu-Gi-Oh! Went for roaches, and King Kong is actually going for a Spire at the moment. So with this roach count, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be able to defend his 3rd base. It's going to come up a little bit quicker than King Kong's, but now you notice how the lair was actually slightly later, and King Kong committing to these roaches here. But with this Spire on the way, if King Kong decides to go for it, he will be able to contain Yu-Gi-Oh! in his bases and keep him on the defensive while he can actually expand and do everything else, because he needs to get those Infestors or Hydras out. The Infestors have been the unit of choice to deal with. But oh, Link's coming into the 3rd base yet again. There's a lot of roaches here. There are banelings, but he's going to pick off that queen and get out without many losses at all. Does pick off 1 baneling as well, so that's really good for King Kong. But at the same time, he is being scouted now by Yu-Gi-Oh! He's got 8 mutas on the way right as that Spire is scouted. And there's the Infestation Pit. I was going to say, as soon as he sees that, straight to the Infestation Pit. Likely going to drop a couple of spores left in each base as well, just to play defensively. And there they are, 1 in each mineral line. And there is a drone just sitting here doing nothing in the main. I don't know how I noticed that. There we go.
Even King Kong not noticing that. The Overseer that scouted the Mutas is now going to end up dying, buying Yu-Gi-Oh! A few extra seconds. Of course, the first infestors are not going to be anywhere close to finishing, so more Spore Crawlers are going up as Yu-Gi-Oh! Confirms that a lot of Mutas were produced. The Roaches were moving out across the map, maybe to force those Mutas to stay home. Those 2 Roaches actually buying Yu-Gi-Oh! More and more time, and he's absolutely prepared for those Mutas right now. 2 Spores at each base, at least 1 Queen at each base as well. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be able to be fine here. A few Zerglings going to be running into the third base of King Kong, and they might focus down a Queen here. Oh, it's going to be close. Yes, they do get the Queen, but other than that, 1 Queen for like 20 links. Not sure if that's the best engagement, the best trade ever to be making.
Yeah, these Roaches still under fire from these Mutas here as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Did have a little bit of time before the Roaches of King Kong came out for himself to actually do something with that force, but he's looked like he's just playing purely defensive. Looking at the worker count, 67 to 69, so still a very even game. Those Mutas are going to be able to control. There's actually 2 Overseers of Yu-Gi-Oh! Up here as well, but they are going to be able to control the map for King Kong, and that'll give him a really easy chance at a 4th base to get that extra gas count up. And as we've seen quite recently, and the gas count for infestors is really important for a ZVZ these days. It's a lot of situations boil down to how many infestors do you have for that energy. Just in the last week, we've seen so many ZVZs go for such a long time.
Yeah, such a long time, and so many infestors being used in those ZVZ styles as well. Infested Terrans, Fungals, everything going down, and both players are going to be taking towards those infestors right now. This is basically the point where King Kong says, okay, well, I went for Mutas, I have done a little bit of damage, but not really an awful lot. I mean, if we look back on this game,
he needs to be careful.
Ooh, gets a Fungal. 4 of those Mutas are going to go
Oh my
down.
god, he missed the second Fungal. He had to use another one to get these out. Is he going to be able to get away? Yes. That was a big mistake by Yu-Gi-Oh! He should have been able to kill all of those Mutas.
Yeah, that was really weird. I mean, he wasted like 2 or 3 Fungals, 3 Infested Terrans to kill 2 Mutalisks. That was definitely not the best trade that Yu-Gi-Oh! Could have hoped for.
Yeah, exactly. But in his defense, the way that you look at, you can't actually click on the Mutas because it actually misplaces because they're not in the same position on the ground that they actually look. Look at this one Muta here chasing these infestors. I really like this. At the same time, he's coming into this 3rd base of King Kong. He's got enough Zerglings here. He might be able to deal with it, but the reinforcement Roaches coming through. He will be able to force a cancel or even kill. There's the cancel on this 4th base here for King Kong, but here we go. We do see a King Kong in a nice defensive position right now. At the same time, we got Roaches coming into the natural, though. There's way too many. He might actually be able to target down this hatchery itself. Gets the Queen. Is he gonna go? What is he going to go for here? Is he going to go for drones or what? He's actually attacking down here at the 3rd base as well. Infested Terrans for both players. Look at that. The Mutas are actually picking off all of the infestors from behind, and King Kong will defend at that 3rd base, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Still has these Roaches. Where is he going with them? He's actually being indecisive. He's trying to take out these drones, and looks like he's going to go into the main as well with some extra Roaches. And look at that, has to borrow his infestors to get away from these Mutas, and there's still more and more Roaches. Looks... Oh my god, actually King Kong not bringing his Roaches from the 3rd back up to deal with this. There we go, he's finally coming up, but he's lost a lot of workers here now. 25 workers killed for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wow, that's a lot. Is that going to be making that attack worth it? I mean, we have to keep in mind, he lost pretty much his entire army. The only bit of army that got out of there was 2 infestors. One of the infestors now gets sniped by the Mutas. This is definitely the end of the Muta age. The age of the Mutalisk has ended as the last Mutalisk dies. Of course, we're not going to see them reproducing anytime soon. Maybe in the next game, we're going to see more Mutas, but they are definitely out of here for now. There's a few burrowed Roaches still in the main base of King Kong. I think he knows about it, because he still has his entire Roach army there, and there finishes his Overseer, so he will be able to spot those Roaches. And of course, this got spotted by Yu-Gi-Oh! So he knows a lot of the army of his opponent is in the main base, and we see him moving out to the middle of the map. Maybe he wants to try and push into that 3rd again, but look at that 3rd unstable. He's not going to be able to break that very easily with this many infestors and Roaches there.
But he doesn't actually really need to break it. If you look at the minimap, oh, there's the Roaches. They've just popped up again. Oh, they're going to get a Queen in the main. Nicely done by Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, and look at this. He's actually out of position right now, but there's enough infestors to really deal with this. There's a lot of reinforcements coming through. And I really think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to get the really bad end of trade here. But he has to have a lot more Roaches reinforcing, but he looks like he's going to back off. He needs to be decisive whether he's going to bring those Roaches in or not. They're coming in and out, in and out. They could have done a lot more than they actually did there. Look at that. So many Roaches on such little health. He's like praying that he actually gets the shots off, and that's why these Roaches are actually living a lot longer than you expect, because they're actually picking off all the weakened Roaches. And are they actually going to win this engagement? Oh, he needs to target down the weak ones. No!
That was such a weird engagement. Like 5, 6, 7 roaches with like 10 HP.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Anyway, we do see King Kong once again defending, and he is definitely getting the better end of those trades, man. Yu-Gi-Oh ends up losing some of his infestors time and time again. He has 4 infestors that are making their way back home, so he kept alive some of them this time around. What are all these overlords doing here for King Kong? Is he gonna be doing anything with them? Nah, I just think it's just a rally point. 6, 7 overlords sitting in the same spot, and then overseer is next to it. Like, are you gonna be dropping stuff on me, or are these overlords just chilling here for no reason?
Well,
I think they're just hanging.
Notice here how Yu-Gi-Oh has Hydras out earlier. He's got his 4th base up a lot quicker as well. King Kong's also getting that. They're both pretty much maxed out now, and there is a Changeling army in the middle of this army for King Kong, which is really big for him. Looking at the infestor count, it's 5 to 8 in favor of Yu-Gi-Oh.
As we see a cancel on the 4th base of King Kong go down. In the bottom right, he was forced to cancel that because a few links ran in there. A good job there by Yu-Gi-Oh forcing that cancel. A few roaches out of King Kong going to be running into the main base, and they are going to be scouting and killing a queen here. And
as the main engagement goes, oh my god, down here at the 4th base for Yu-Gi-Oh, those Hydras, he doesn't actually have that many in the army composition, but the lines of roaches are too big for my one screen to actually look at right now, but it looks like King Kong is actually getting the upper hand here as he's being forced back. It looks like he will kill this hatchery and put himself back in the lead in this game. We do see
there is a counterattack though at the 3rd base of King Kong. A lot of Zerglings have been able to kill a lot of drones there, so maybe they're trading a 4th for a 3rd base here. This game is definitely not over yet, but King Kong, like you said, in a good position, winning that big fight in the middle. But most of the infestors have been able to stay alive before Yu-Gi-Oh here, and he comes to clean up the roaches. He gets a fungal. The rest of the roaches are going to be forced to run away, and all the infestors for King Kong, they do not have any energy. Look at those. Those infestors are going to be running, and this is such a weird game. Looks like actually Yu-Gi-Oh is now going to be pushing King Kong back, as King Kong is going to be resaturating his 3rd base. Yeah,
exactly. There is one Zergling beating on the 4th base, another 4th base for Yu-Gi-Oh up here. At the same time, we do see a counterattack into the 3rd here by Yu-Gi-Oh. Is this actually going to work out okay if he can split his roaches, but there is enough reinforcements here for King Kong to just throw him back. He needs to get out of there before... Oh, the roaches from behind actually picking off 2! Almost 3 of those infestors now. Yu-Gi-Oh in a terrible position. He's losing a full energied infestor. Oh my god, there's nothing he can do about it right now either. He's trying to get some more fungals off, but oh my god, so many roaches on such low health. Instant burrow by King Kong, and that was huge for him. That was the engagement that he needed.
Yeah, he you know, he didn't have a 4th base. That 4th base has been had been up and running for Yu-Gi-Oh a little while, and he has a 4th base again. So King Kong definitely needs to keep on trading better and better, and he's doing exactly that. It really feels like Yu-Gi-Oh is just smashing his head into a brick wall. That is the 3rd base of King Kong. He keeps on trying to push in there with his infestors and roaches, and time again, King Kong is getting the better engagements, the better fungals, and has the faster unit reinforcements. And now once again, King Kong is in the lead. This game is so back and forth. Now we're going to see King Kong pressure towards that 4th base of Yu-Gi-Oh, I would expect, or maybe the 3rd.
Yeah. He is up by 5 infestors here, remember? And look at this. Yu-Gi-Oh is actually completely out of position right now. He's going to lose this 4th base no matter what. There's only a small group of roaches, but they do have 1-2 upgrades compared to Yu-Gi-Oh's 1-2. They've been pretty much keeping up with each other, but he is going to lose that. I think Yu-Gi-Oh's realized that, and he's running down to the 4th now. Has been spotted by King Kong. He's going to straight into that 3rd. He will be able to take out that 3rd, and we're going to have a base race here by the looks of it, Lurlian. But there are infestors at home here for Yu-Gi-Oh. He's going to be able to throw down some fungals and try and delay this as long as he can. At the same time, he's coming in. He's only half the roaches attacking this 3rd base though. And oh my god, he's actually being able to save the top left-hand base here, Yu-Gi-Oh is. And everyone's splitting everywhere. We got roaches in every single base pretty much. And looks like 3rd base has fallen for King Kong. King Kong is also, you know, like, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to come out ahead in this one. And it looks like both players will be able to clean out each other's bases. There's enough infestors here for King Kong to give him a significant advantage. And we've got bases being taken out left, right, and center. But looking at the unit counts here, we have 41 roaches for King Kong, 32 for Yu-Gi-Oh, 5 infestors versus 9. So we do see King Kong with a much better advantage here. But oh, he's going to lose quite a few roaches here to some Zerglings that just popped out. No, he looks like he's got the upgrades here to deal with that. And here we go. So King Kong's lost all his tech. Yu-Gi-Oh definitely has the advantage in buildings. He wants to go for your pure base race, but where are any more structures? The difficult about looking at this is there's creep tumors and overlords everywhere on the map.
And there's units everywhere. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone is blowing up everything.
Oh, the infestors are actually going to catch all these drones up here at the north-ish position. Really nicely done by Yu-Gi-Oh! Very lucky in that. So, I'm just having a quick look around here. Okay, so we've got one extractor up at the top left for Yu-Gi-Oh! He's still got his main base here as well. He's got extractors down at the natural. Did he save some drones? I'm trying to see. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
I can see one drone over here for Yu-Gi-Oh! And he's going to make an extractor at King Kong's old third. He's also making one up here at the 12 o'clock, but it's instantly seen by King Kong's overlord, so I'm not sure how smart that was. 3 of his drones are actually going to get picked off by this massive roach count. Now, the problem is he can't really fungal them because they can just burrow and re-heal. He needs to have saved those fungals for when he can actually use them to kill things.
I think he only has 2 extractors left, by the way, Mr. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think that's all he's got.
He's losing instead Festation Pit off creep down here at the natural. He's got one extractor down here at King Kong's natural, one at his third. Looking here at King Kong, he's actually got... I'm surprised he's actually made this hatchery in the middle of nowhere. He might have actually... He's got 79 minerals. He might have been able to make one and start mining again. Kinda. King Kong... sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh's making a third extractor. But he still has his Baneling Nest and his extractor in his main. How did King Kong miss that?
That's a little bit weird. So the structure advantage is currently in favor of Yu-Gi-Oh! But the army is just so much better for King Kong, and he's going to be moving into the army of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And the infestors.
The infestors. He's going to lose one of them.
Was pretty good. The high ground advantage now in favor of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think this is this is not going to be where he finds him. Oh, his army gets bungled. He's going to lose so many roaches for free. And I think this is the turning point. He can now no longer anytime hope to fight with the army of King Kong. He's going to be losing most of his infestors here, and things to start to look very grim for our red Zerg player. But he is going to be sniping his hatchery over here.
Wait, does he have anything else? Does he have
anything
anything
else? He has an extractor in the top right. Top right.
Okay. He only just barely made that too.
Yeah, he just barely made that.
Okay, so... Okay, good.
Does he have any other drones? No, he does not. So this extractor is the last extractor on the map unstable. If this guy dies in the top right, the game ends, and King Kong is going to be out of this. This is the only thing that's keeping him in the game right now, and he will have to defend against that. These roaches could burrow over there and maybe snipe it, and if he snipes it, this game ends.
He doesn't have tunneling claws, does he? I don't think he had tunneling claws, so he's not going to be able to jump up behind that. This is where he really needs those infestors, because he could have burrowed, gotten over there and dropped infested Terrans and just targeted it down. We just have, Roach versus Roach here in the middle, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Cannot hope to do that. There's an Overseer right on top of them as well. And I think this is going to be the nail in the coffin here for Yu-Gi-Oh! And,
no man, he just has to play it like a real warlord and draw the units out of position and just snipe that one extractor. Like 4 or 5 roaches are going to be able to kill that so quickly.
But look at this.
Around,
Look at there's all of King Kong's infestors are stationed near this extractor, right on top of that ramp. He's also got roaches hitting on the ramp, because you can see that Yu-Gi-Oh's like, okay, I'm going to try and run past, but he's just not going to be able to get there because there's so much energy on these infestors. He's not going to be able to get up that ramp no matter how hard he tries. There's some fungals going down. The roaches are out of position though, so if he can try and pick these off, he's actually doing a good job of getting a lot of these roaches at the top, and if he can actually take out the rest of these infestors before the roaches get back, he might be okay, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get there. A valiant effort by Yu-Gi-Oh! But it looks like King Kong is going to take game number 1 in this set.
Yeah, with only 5 roaches left, there's only one thing left for Yu-Gi-Oh! To do, and that is type in the GG in the Korean characters. He was not able to break up that ramp and snipe that last extractor, and oh my god, that was a really close base trade. And a situation that I've really never seen before, Zerg versus Zerg, where one Zerg is camping the top of a ramp to protect his last extractor, but he has an army advantage. What a cool game. What a cool game.
Absolutely. So let's jump into game number 2 then after this quick commercial break. Stay with us.